Ever since his first appearance in 2006, I've always thought that Silver the Hedgehog was one of the characters that I could always gravitate to. He was one of the most interesting Sonic characters to me, and for that reason, I always wanted to see him more in the spotlight. Unfortunately, that doesn't really happen all that much. He may appear as a minor role in certain Sonic games, but that's the extent of what we see him as nowadays. And even in the games where he was a major role, the games themselves have either been retconned or they just don't get that much attention. Now, going off of previous history of what I know about this character and the fanbase, I know there actually is a lot of people who want a Silver the Hedgehog game. It would be a mainline game in a sense, but it would also be branching off into its own territory, just being Silver the Hedgehog. Ideally, I think one of the major reasons why I personally want a Silver game is not only to highlight the character, but also to offer up some type of redemption, as the game he first appeared in was Sonic 06, and that's not seen in the best light possible. Even though I may like the game, many others do not. And even when you realistically think about it, I mean, Silver is a character who has a lot of capabilities and should be one of the more main ones in the series just because of what he can do, and how much he can really affect the story. I mean, you can't shove him in every game, but at the same time, there are lots of scenarios where he really can work as a character, and I don't think that's really given that much attention, and considering the fact that he's only playable in just a few games, it would be really nice to see him take a starring role in his own. Now, I'm no game designer, but I do like to be a visionary when it comes to the franchise of Sonic the Hedgehog, and I've come up with pitches before when it comes to what I want to see in future Sonic games like Sonic Adventure 3, and I feel like in this video I want to talk about the same thing when it comes to Silver. You know, give him his very own game, discuss what the gameplay could be like, the story, and all the other things that come along with it. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about when speaking on a Silver the Hedgehog video game is the story, and this was probably one of the more fun things to think of when creating this video and writing the script and all that, and it's really because I did have a very clear direction of what I wanted the story to focus on, and that's basically just the future. Where does Silver live, and how is that overall going to be affected throughout the events of the game? You know, there's actually a lot of unexplored areas of Silver the Hedgehog as a character just because the series is a Sonic the Hedgehog series. You want to focus on the Sonic the Hedgehog main characters, specifically Sonic, and Sonic doesn't really go to the future all that often if it's not just in the near future. Now, Silver lives in the far future, so there's a whole array of characters that can be explored, a whole different new area that can be illustrated in its own way, and we can see how the future is overall affected by what Sonic the Hedgehog has done in the past, since he will not be present in this game. The basic gist of what I imagine the story could possibly be like is Eggman Nega recreating Metal Sonic 3.0 and using a special new item called the Aura Orb, and it sends him on a mission in the future to bring an end to Silver the Hedgehog. While Silver is distracted battling 3.0, Eggman Nega goes to the past and causes much catastrophe. Silver loses the fight against 3.0 and is punched several years into the past, just days after Eggman has successfully taken over that world, leaving Metal Sonic 3.0 in the future or Silver's present time. Silver meets up with Blaze as the Soul Emeralds told her that her friend could use some assistance. Silver and Blaze now both have to travel through time to both the past and the future to save the world. Now, there's actually a lot of concepts that I kind of brought up in this one story alone, and some of them are actually relatively new, but to kind of go into detail here, the Soul Emeralds are capable of telling Blaze where to be and what to do, as we see this happen in the IDW comics, as the Soul Emeralds did not tell her to reunite with Sonic and friends in the events of Sonic Forces. Another thing that I will talk about later in the video, probably in more detail, is the Aura Orb, and basically this orb has the power to travel through time, and it can go to any point in time, making it very powerful. And I imagine it would be something that Eggman Nega would find earlier in the game and use it on Metal Sonic 3.0. Now, if you didn't go through 3 painful years of Latin class, then the word Aura is translated into English as hour or time. Now, it could easily just be called the Time Orb or something along those lines, but it just kind of felt pretty generic, and I kind of wanted to be more unique with this kind of name, you know, give it something, an interesting name rather than something so bland. Now, throughout this game, I also wanted to give Silver this inner self conflict for losing to Metal Sonic 3.0 and blaming himself, but as the game progresses, he becomes more confident in his abilities, which would also give a little bit more layer to Silver's character development further in the Sonic the Hedgehog series. The ultimate goal that I had with this story was not only to create more world-building activity for the Sonic the Hedgehog series, but also to give a bit more backbone to Silver's character, as I really do not like him being this side character who doesn't really get to do much despite how powerful he is. And I feel like this game should be able to highlight and bring out the best of this character, just by exploring how he handles certain situations. Now, as for the gameplay style, I had to get a bit more creative when it came to making ideas for what this would possibly look like, as I didn't really want to just follow the same Sonic 06 route, because I feel like Silver's gameplay can be a lot better and explain him and his powers a lot better in a newer, more well put together game. So my vision for what this would possibly look like is a Lego-esque gameplay style, an open land that allows seemingly limitless flying capabilities. However, the level design itself would prohibit easily flying through it, thus making it harder to break. Ultimately, I would want this to feel like a Silver the Hedgehog game and not a Sonic the Hedgehog one. Though I want the stories and the characters to be connected, I still want to recognize that Silver is a much different character than Sonic. He's one that doesn't rely on speed, but more so on how swift he can be and his other capabilities like his psychokinesis powers. Speaking of that, Silver will fight similar to how he did in Sonic 06, stunning enemies, throwing objects. However, the one thing that really bothered me about this gameplay style was that I always had to have an object to throw in order to do anything with enemies, or I had to stun them and that kind of slowed down gameplay. However, I think it'd be really cool to have him create air slashes and be able to break enemies like that, sort of like how it was in Sonic Generations as a boss fight. Now, like I said before, I also do imagine Blaze being in this game as well, and I would want her levels to actually focus on speed. She can use her pyrokinetic powers to burn and combust enemies as well, but she also can leave a trail of fire behind her which will cause her to run faster. Obviously, Blaze cannot fly nor use psychokinetic powers like Silver, so her level designs will be a tad different, but still keeping that Lego-esque feel, where it's kind of open and broad, but still you have to use different maneuvering in order to get to different sections. Now, for the final portion of this video, I kind of wanted to more so go into detail on certain things that I talked about earlier, and also kind of back that with other facts that we know about the series and kind of mesh it all together. That way it all kind of adds up and you kind of get the total idea of what my pitch for a Silver the Hedgehog game would look like. Now, it cannot be a Sonic game if Silver does not get a new form during this game at all, so Silver will obtain a new form during the final boss where he can time travel whenever at will, teleport, and freeze time. The name of the form will be called Order Silver, in reference to the orb that I talked about earlier. Ultimately, naming this form was also just as easy as naming the orb itself, in which I didn't want it to be just called something generic like Time Silver or Silver Time. I figured we could have been, using the powers of the orb and meshing it together with Silver as a whole, calling it Order Silver. Now I want to switch gears here and talk about Metal Sonic 3.0 since I referenced him in the story earlier, but didn't really go into much more detail after that. So I believe it should be recreated, but much different. 3.0 can speak and is much stronger than it was in Sonic Rivals 2. At this point, 3.0 is more so comparable to that of Neo Metal Sonic, but stronger as his powers revolve around time travel, as he has the Order Orb, as I referenced earlier in the story. Now, like I said before, since Neo Metal Sonic is actually comparable to that of Metal Sonic 3.0 at this point, I'm figuring that 3.0's final transformation should be also similar to Metal Madness, but instead of that name, it should be titled Metal Frenzy. This final boss is only made possible by completely depleting all of the remaining energy of the Order Orb and 3.0's rage after seeing its master, Eggman Nega, defeated by Blaze earlier in the game, right before the final boss. Now, Silver unlocks his final form, Order Silver, by harboring some of the orb's power prior to it being depleted in the final battle. So pretty much right before this final boss, he's able to come in contact with the orb and gain some of its power. So during that final boss battle, he's able to use it and transform into Order Silver to compete against 3.0's Metal Frenzy. That is my overall pitch for a Silver the Hedgehog game. I know there's like a lot of moving pieces in this, so it's not perfect, but I do want to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. What do you guys think of my Silver the Hedgehog game idea? Do you guys also have one? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'd love to see what you guys have to say. And also, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe on it because I would really appreciate that. And it would let me know that you enjoyed this type of content and want to see more of it in the future. And speaking of my future content, don't forget to turn on the post notifications bell. That way you never miss an upload from me. You do not want to miss what I have to say. Anyway, now's a great time to shout out my legendary channel members. Thank you all again so much for supporting me and creating the best possible content that I can create. Videos like these would not be possible without you, and I praise the Lord every single day for awesome people like you guys. Y'all are truly the best, and I could not do any of this without you. If you're interested in becoming a member of my channel, there will be a link in the description down below. But anyway, if you want to support me through other means, I have a merch store, and I've got tons of Sonicsta hoodies, hats, t-shirts, all sorts of Sonicsta swag that you can definitely go check out, as I would really appreciate you repping the merch. If you like my content, why not rep the legendary merch that I have to offer? There will be a link in the description down below to check out the store. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. This is Sonicsta signing out. Have a super blessed day, y'all.
Why are you playing that trash?